So there is a picture doing the rounds on social media at the moment of Tyson Fury, and he looks to be in brilliant shape ahead of a fight later on this year. Does his shape and what he looks like in that picture give an indication of what his approach is going to be like in that fight, that rumored fight with Anthony Joshua? We're going to talk about that on this video. Welcome back to the channel. You're tuned in to Talk to Budge, and I'm your boy Budge. Please wipe your feet before you come in. I need your support. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, sign up to all the notifications, so whenever I post a new video, you are first to see and hear it. And please leave your comments below. I'm sharing my perspective, but I want to hear from you. What does this mean? What does it mean for you in terms of your perspective, so on and so forth? I just want to hear from you guys, man. So please leave your comments below. Now, like I said, there is a recent picture that's doing the rounds. I saw it on Instagram earlier today, and it is a picture of Tyson Fury. It looks like he had just finished a workout, and he looks in shape. He looks trim. He looks very lean. He looks like he's been doing a lot of cardio work, a lot of running. I know he does enjoy running quite a bit. He runs with his dad and his trainers and so on and so forth quite often. But he looks in really good shape. And to be fair, this is particularly interesting because of the fact that, you know, whilst we've heard news and of both him and AJ signing the preliminary contract or whatever, like there's an agreement in principle in place or whatever. Of course, there hasn't been a date set and it hasn't been a venue set for their clash either. But all things considered, like the fact that he's in the shape that he's in at the moment without any of those things being confirmed, of course, in one way, is an indicator that we are probably very close to all of those things being ironed out and the final details being ironed out. But the fact that he's not going to have a fat camp. His camp isn't going to be him having to lose weight or him having to focus on his weight. It's going to be a camp that he can purely focus on his strategy and his approach to that AJ fight. Now, looking at how he looks in that picture versus what he looked like in the recent Deontay Wilder fight, there's a huge difference. He has lost a significant amount of weight, and part of the reason why he had put on quite a bit of weight in that second Deontay Wilder fight was because his approach was to put Deontay Wilder on the back foot. You know, he spoke about the fact that going into that fight, he was confident that Deontay Wilder wouldn't be able to fight on the back foot. And so rather than him boxing from the outside and him fighting at range, he was going to put the pressure on Deontay Wilder from the off. And that's exactly what we saw in that fight. You know, he pressed the action. He used his weight advantage, and it worked because he was all over Deontay Wilder. Wilder couldn't really deal with the fact that he was being put on the back foot, for one, and he couldn't deal with the additional weight that Tyson Fury had. He was bullying him. He was roughing him up on the inside. He was really bringing the fight to Deontay Wilder, and Deontay Wilder didn't have any answers for it. Because, you know, as we've seen, Deontay Wilder isn't the greatest boxer from range, or isn't the greatest boxer boxing on the back foot, you know, going backwards. And that was Tyson Fury's game plan, to use that weight advantage, to push himself up against Deontay Wilder, to rough him up. And ultimately, that is what got him the win, you know. He changed trainers. He was out training, with Sugar Hill in the Crunk gym, and he's known for that style. He's known for that approach, and that's part of the reason why he decided to go with him, and no longer continue to train with Ben Davison, whose approach was very different in the first fight against Fury. He was boxing more at range and trying to outbox Wilder in that particular fight. And now, when we fast forward and look at what he's looking like now, what his shape suggests to me is that he is potentially going to try and outlast AJ when they do fight. Perhaps, he always talks about the fact that AJ's a weightlifter. He's always, whenever he's asked about AJ, whenever he's having to give his opinion about what the fight would be like and the kind of challenges that it potentially will pose, he always refers to AJ as the weightlifter, the guy that hasn't got great boxing ability but just lifts weights, is a bodybuilder, is a model essentially. And we've seen in previous AJ fights before as well that he has struggled at times with keeping the pace. He has gassed out on certain occasions. He is naturally, you can see he's muscle bound. He's very big. He's very muscular, and naturally, because of the fact that he's so muscular, that does take a lot of energy. When you're in the ring, you've got to pump oxygen around your entire body, and if you're heavy and you're muscle bound and whatnot, it is a bit more difficult to do that, which is why usually guys that are a lot bigger and a lot more muscular tend to have not necessarily great stamina or be able to last in the longer fights. And that's a part of the reason why a lot of trainers will encourage their fighters not to lift heavy weights, but to do more core related exercises and stuff to do with their own body weight, because they don't want them to lose their speed. They don't want them to lose their stamina. They don't want them to lose, those quick twitch fiber muscles and whatnot. The bigger they are, the more, the slower ultimately you are. And so it looks like he's lost that weight, and his approach in that fight is going to be to box AJ from the outside, potentially drag him into deeper waters in the hope that he gasses out and tires and then press the action. That's what I'm assuming in terms of what his approach will be, just from looking at him, a close look at what his physique looks like at this point in time. I feel like that is the strategy. He knows that Anthony Joshua can fight on the back foot. He is a better boxer than Deontay Wilder is. So potentially having that same approach that he had to Wilder in his second fight might not necessarily work in trying to impose your will against someone like Anthony Joshua. Also because of the fact that he's not going to have as much of a weight advantage against AJ as he would have had against Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder is a much slimmer, more athletic build boxer. He is a heavyweight that could really make cruiserweight if he really wanted to. He does have that slim build. Everyone always laughs and jokes about and mocks him about his sort of skinny legs and whatnot. But of course, AJ is a lot more built. So Fury isn't going to have that same kind of weight advantage against AJ as he would have had against Wilder, and isn't going to be able to bully him in the same way. So perhaps the whole idea of boxing him at distance and outboxing him works better as a strategy this time round. But I think ultimately what's really encouraging is that the fact that he is in shape, he is working, which means that, there is a fight on the horizon. Otherwise, why would he be in camp? He's already spoken about the fact that, he finds it difficult to stay motivated or to keep training when he doesn't have a fight on the horizon. So I think this is definitely a positive look, certainly on the part of Fury, you know, him staying in shape, him staying active and staying in the gym, but also for us as fight fans, because it is an indicator that we will be getting that fight, which we've been clamoring for, which we've been calling for such a long time. And when it does, of course, as it's been well stated, it is going to be one of the biggest, if not the biggest, fight between British fighters of all time, man. So watch this space. Really good to see Tyson Fury in shape. Of course, AJ stays in shape all the time. I've never seen him out of shape. So it's good to see that there are things happening behind the scenes, and a fight is being made in the works, man. So let me know what you think, man. Am I reading too much into it? Do you feel like you know, Tyson Fury losing that weight is just him staying in shape? Or do you think there's more to it? Do you think that it is all part of his strategy heading into that AJ fight? I'd love to hear from you and get your point of view on it. You know, who do you think wins that fight ultimately? Based on what they're both looking like at this point in time. You know, heading into that fight, who do you think has the upper hand? You know, Tyson Fury, AJ is going to be an absolute barnstormer when we do finally have it. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Again, just a reminder, please, 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 I need your help, man. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, sign up for all of the notifications so you know when I'm dropping a new video, and I'm going to catch you on the next one. Over and